Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of the One Complete Nerd podcast with your host Pete and your other host Sam.
Hello, everyone.
Good news, everyone! Because this week we're talking about the return of Futurama.
Good news, everyone. I've decided to come back again. Yes, I'm very excited for this.
It's not the first time that Futurama has come back. It is being revived for a 20-episode run on Hulu. If you weren't...
what?
Yeah, if you weren't confused enough by the multitude of streaming platforms that you need to have to watch all of the things that everybody's talking about between Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Apple TV,
All the different things.
just to name a few, HBO, if you want to watch all the things, everything, all the best stuff, you need to pay for all of these services, which is really annoying. But Futurama is being revived for 20 episodes on Hulu. And while I did say it was good news with my awful Farnsworth impression back there, it's not all good news because while most of the principal original cast of Futurama is back and they have signed their contracts, John DiMaggio, who voices Bender, has not, as the time of recording, has still not come to a contract agreement with Hulu. So the original voice of Bender is not currently coming back.
I'd heard about this as well. I even saw a tweet that I think it was GameSpot that had tweeted Futurama actor John DiMaggio says he deserves more money to play Bender in the reveal episode, and then there's a link. And then John DiMaggio himself responds to that saying, "Nope, clickbait." That's all he says. It's like, wow.
He has on his own personal Twitter page, he has put out actual information. He's actually responded to this in full. Essentially, the reason is not that John DiMaggio demands more money because he thinks he's great. It's a case of he demands more money for all voice actors across the entire industry. Because he thinks that these companies are underselling the value of voice actors. So he doesn't just want his own more money. He wants more money for everybody on the show because after, God, it's like 20 years of Futurama. I mean, it's been on and off. It ran for like 3 years and then it was off for a while and it was on for 2 years. But it's still, a big, name in the world of voice acting, in the world of animation. But yeah, he essentially, when the first offer came to him, he looked at it and thought, this is a very low offer, I'm going to refuse it, and sent it back. The problem was that all of the cast on the show were going to get paid the same wage, and Katie Segal, who plays Leela, and Billy West, who plays Fry, Farnsworth, Zoidberg, and a few others, accepted both of their offers
because they were so little paid. They're like, yeah, job, yeah, sure. Like, I'll just jump at the job.
I don't think it was that. I think it was just like, oh, cool, Futurama's coming back. I remember that. I really enjoyed that. Let's do that again. So I think personally, it was more about being eager to get back into doing that again. But by the sounds of it, the rumor is that they didn't communicate about John DiMaggio was going to refuse this offer. Like they probably should have like all had a solid front and everybody said we want more money because they deserve it.
Because now it kind of looks like that. Yeah, people can twist it like that clickbait tweet.
Exactly. And the problem is because Billy West and Katie Segal are they've signed contracts, they are now tied into contracts. So Hulu would have to break the contract and then re-sign new contract, which is a whole expensive problem before they could raise their wages. So yeah, it's a whole issue. There's a whole minefield, legal issue with it.
Why can't we just have nice things like new Futurama episodes? Because I still have the first 3 seasons of the DVDs.
Oh yeah,
like the box sets, and that was back when like it was like, good news, everyone, we're cancelled. Wait, that's not good news. And then I found out years and years later, oh, did you know that they're bringing the series back? I was like, oh wow, I loved it all those years ago. And they're like, no, they're bringing it back again. And I was like, wait, what do you mean again? Yeah, there's like 8 seasons now. I was like, My God! And I started like binge watching them.
Yeah.
And I only sort of semi finished watching it a little while ago, actually. Maybe, God, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago.
Because did they end the final episode? Didn't it wrap up? Have I got that wrong in my imagination?
They wrapped. It wasn't cancelled. They wrapped up.
Yeah, they didn't cut abruptly. They actually had a final episode which closed off the series. Is that
Air
right?
quotes. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, kind of. It was like, it wasn't, book closed. It's like one of those closed question mark deals. Like
Yeah.
in a way that you could bring back a series if you sort of
Yeah.
nipple twisted it, nipple crippled it a bit.
Yeah, because I don't remember. I watched Futurama casually, on and off. I didn't watch it. I haven't watched every episode in order, so I know that it was on and off and stuff, but I don't actually remember specifically the final episode. And I just hate for another Scrubs situation because that ended. Did you ever watch Scrubs?
No, I've never seen Scrubs.
No, the final episode of the original set of series. They did like 5 series, and then 5 or 6 series, and they did a final episode where they got all of the previous cast members back, and literally everybody said goodbye to the character, and they had this massive big send off. And then they got renewed, bought by a different channel, and it was awful, and it only did like 1 season, and it didn't really work.
So it just got abruptly ended.
So yeah, it was like they had the perfect neat tied little bow ending, and then this false like whatever the hell was afterwards. I'd hate that to happen to Futurama. If it ended nicely, and then Bender, what's wrong with your voice? Like the first episode, if they don't get John DiMaggio, they just have to be like, I got a voice patch or something. It's got to be something's wrong with Bender.
It won't be Bender. No, like if they don't get him back, it won't be the same. Like there's no, you can't twist that.
I agree. Could you imagine being the voice actor who got cast as Bender to replace John DiMaggio?
Oh, the hate you would get. Yeah. The hate they will get if it happens. So I actually generally don't like, because God bless, no matter how good they do, really, really, it'd be like, oh, that's awesome, but it wouldn't be Bender. It'd be like, that's, well, not copy, but like you said, they'd have to do something like it's a voice box change or something, but it wouldn't be Bender.
Because you would not only be hated by legions of diehard fans, but you would also be hated by like the voice acting community, because this man is making a stance about workers' rights and pay and fair trade for this profession, and to then come in and undercut and be like, sure, I'll take your cheap rate and I'll just do a Bender impression. Like, yeah. Couldn't imagine.
That could end your career.
Yeah, end it where it starts. You know what I mean? Unless obviously they're an established voice actor, but still, it's not a great.
Not ideal.
And John DiMaggio is a big name. He's like, for voice animation, he is a big name. He's Jake the dog in Adventure Time. He's been in.
I haven't seen that.
Not seen that. That's good. Yeah. And he's in the other Matt Groening series, Disenchanted. He's in that as well.
Yes. So that's one of the things that's literally on my like watch later list on Netflix. I've seen trailers and memes about it, and I'm like, doesn't look like it's for me. And then I saw an actual trailer, like not just like memes and small clips or anything like that. And it's like, actually, that looks pretty sick. I'll give that a go.
Yeah, well, it rounds out Matt Groening's trio quite nicely, because obviously he's got The Simpsons, which is modern day, Futurama, which is future, and then Disenchanted is the past. So he's got his all 3 time periods figured out there.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Yeah, you've got the same sense of humor split across, so many different timelines.
It's it's a fantasy show, not necessarily a historical show, but still, it's the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Futurama is the future, but it's still sci-fi. It's still wacky comedy, weird aliens and robots. But hopefully, despite all the current controversies with the legal and whatever side of the show, hopefully they can get contracts sorted. Hopefully we can get John DiMaggio back into his iconic role, and hopefully we can get a decent 20 episodes of Futurama again.
Well, it'd be good. But you mentioned, I just realized something. Upon you talking about it being on Hulu, isn't it currently on Disney Plus?
Yes, because the original run of Futurama was on Fox, as was The Simpsons.
Which is now Disney.
Which
yes.
Now that Disney owns half of the entertainment industry, yes, the Disney Plus. If you want to go watch old episodes of Futurama, you go to Disney Plus. I don't like when shows do this. I mean, obviously, it's part of the nature of the beast. Is that one company will run a program for a few years, and then somebody else will come along and will buy up the rights to production. And when you're on TV channels and you've got like a satellite package or a cable package, you get all of these channels anyway, then that's fine, because it's the same thing. It's just on a different channel the next time around, and like the old episodes will still run and still repeat. But with streaming services now, if you want to watch, you get halfway through Futurama. If you want to keep watching, you then have to get a different streaming service. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was binge watching South Park, as I mentioned previously, and I've just finished that. But seasons 23 and 24 aren't available on any streaming service that I know of.
Yeah.
Like, they're not on Netflix, they're not on Amazon. They are on Amazon, but I have to pay for them separately. Yeah. So that makes it sound cheap, but like, £10 for a season. I'm like, I might do that if I can't find it on another streaming service. I can't find it on any of the other ones, so I might just get it on there. But on the terms of episodes, you said that there's 20 new good ones, right?
20. Well, there's 20 new episodes. Whether they're good or not, we haven't seen anything yet.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like, we're hoping to get 20 good ones. Is like, I agree. Some episodes are just sad, like the episode with Fry's dog.
Oh yeah.
It's like, that is still one of the most depressing moments in my life. But like, again, just to show how well written the show is, and there's just some genuinely really funny moments. I could reincite entire episodes, but I won't.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many memes that come out of Futurama, like before memes were even a thing. Before internet culture really did that.
Yeah, so I've got a meme + image on my phone that I send people sometimes, and it is just a picture of Farnsworth with his hands together, smiling, and it says, "Good news, everyone! I've made an invention that can make you read this lines in my voice." Yeah. And you read, like, without fail, you'll read the line in his voice.
Good news, everyone!
Yeah,
I really should stop doing that, because I'm really bad at it.
I mean, that's not that bad. I can't do one.
Yeah, voice acting is not necessarily my forte.
I can do lots of different. I can't imitate voices, but I can put on lots of voices.
Go ahead. Go on. No. You've put your money where your mouth is. You have to do this now.
No, like, oh God, like, what kind of voice do you need?
Well, try Bender, and if you're good enough, we'll send you an audition tape into Hulu.
No, that's not happening. I'm not going to ruin Bender's iconic. I'm not going to do that to a character I love. It's just not going to happen. So no.
I do hear that Hulu is looking for somebody to voice Bender, in case you're interested.
If anyone listening is interested, yeah, there you go. There's your option.
That's your entry into. It's a really bad entry into voice acting industry.
Yeah. Hey, let's undercut. Yeah, like we said before, like, hey, if you want to end your career where it starts, go for Bender.
So, speaking of the far future, as well as Futurama, the other thing that we've been doing this week is that you bugged me about buying a game called Space Egineers.
Bugged you. So we've been playing Minecraft, as we mentioned a few times, and we got to the point where I'd built my sorting system, everything was automatic, and we were about to start building a sky base. And I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could build in space? And you said that would be cool. I said, I have a game that's just like Minecraft, but in space. It was a really bad description because it's nothing like Minecraft in space. So,
based on the idea that you build with blocks and you can go mining, that's about the similarities of the two games. But yeah, no, the world, I mean, a lot more like almost photorealistic in terms of its graphic style. And and science fiction instead of fantasy setting.
It's also the physics are real. Like there's actually, there's gravity.
Entropy.
You can't just place blocks in, the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of can if if you're in deep space, you can just place a block somewhere and it will just float there. But
if you nudge it, it goes off.
If you nudge it, it drifts off into space. Then you've got to go and get your stuff back. So trying to build a spaceship in zero gravity is a challenge. So
Roofing one another is much more fun as well. So like I could latch onto you with my landing gear, just fly you off into space and just let go if you don't have any engines.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, we've been having a lot of fun with that, and like you say, similar to Minecraft in some ways. It took me a while to get my head around like the whole system of it, because like Minecraft, you've got iron, but you've also got other minerals like nickel, cobalt, gold, magnesium. All these different things, and you need certain amounts of them to you need to refine them from the raw minerals into actual ingots to use, and then you can use those ingots to then make computers and circuit boards and
components.
steel.
So you have blocks. So like the things you make your spaceships and your buildings and your bases out of, and to get those you need components, which are processed by an assembler. To get those components, you mine for resources or trade them with AI or whatever, or however you get the ores, but you have to refine those ores to make the components. So it's like an extra step, but it's kind of compelling in the sense that, hey, there's a lot more minerals and there's a lot more things you can do with them.
Yeah, and we haven't built everything yet, but there's all kinds of interesting stuff. I mean, obviously there's no like redstone, but there's a very similar. Obviously, computers replace that.
So there's no redstone, but there is power. There is, and you've got to have solar energy, wind energy, gravity is a proper thing. So if you want your ships to lift off, you have to account for gravity or the lack thereof if you're in space. Yeah, it's really fun. But I'd like to point out that like we're talking about this game as if it's new. It's not new. It's been out it's been out in alpha/beta for a long time, since like 2013, and I think it's on PlayStation and Xbox. Maybe let me just check that.
We'll play some hold music while you do your fact checking.
Oh, very funny. Well, you were talking about not having built everything. We had like the one thing we did build, which I'd never built, because we were like, oh, well, we've got the ship we need to scrap. Well, let's try and blow up pieces of it so we can destroy it bit by bit. And we were like, well, I've got explosives. How do we use these? Oh, we can shoot them, but that's not very good. We can make a warhead out of it. So we made a warhead. How big is this going to be, Sam? I don't know, Peter.
It was big.
Right, well, there goes our base, our ship, and the surrounding wildlife.
Yeah, I mean, we had to refresh and reload it.
Yeah, we ended that. Yeah, so it was on the 31st of December 2020. It was 7 years of Space Engineers. The initial release was the 23rd of October 2013. So it's not a new game. I highly recommend it to anyone listening. It's a great fun, but if you like that kind of game, it isn't like a. I mean, it's got guns. I mean, you can put spaceships with guns on them, and you can have rockets, and like I just said, a warhead, which is a nuclear warhead.
So my brain with space stuff usually jumps to like Star Wars, and while you can build replicas of Star Wars ships in this game, the physics engine and the way that you play it is nothing like Star Wars. Like if you put your thrusters up to full power and you go in a direction, you can't just change direction. You have to have thrusters on the opposite side of the ship to then like reverse thrust to slow you down before you can corner. You're not
like real space physics.
So if anybody's interested in a lifelike realistic experience,
it's a physics realistic space exploration game. You go to there's loads of different planets you can go to: Earth, Mars, other alien planets, the moon. There's asteroid belts. There's space enemy space stations, ally space stations. You can build your own space. It's just a real good time if you like space or crafting games.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
heck, you started playing it before you even fully started playing it. You unintentionally started humming the Halo theme.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it does have some visual vibes that sort of like associate really well with Halo. Playing this game with the Halo theme tune on was really nice, because like even the vehicles, you could build a vehicle that looks like a warthog. It's part of the way that the game has been designed is so that you can build a Star Wars ship, you can build a Halo ship, you can build, a ship from any of your favorite universes and craft and tweak and do all those things. But yeah, no, it really looks Halo-ish.
Yeah, so you can't just spawn a vehicle. You have to build the vehicles
Yeah.
and all that. But on that front, people that are quite into the modding scene, it's a very easy game to mod, not
Hmm.
just by yourself, but in terms of just going to the workshop and clicking a button and it's in your game.
Yeah.
So the game has programmable blocks and timer block, but you can, if you know coding, you can do some ridiculous things. I've seen videos of people coding an entire like Death Star base to run on its own.
Cool.
It's the more you dive into it, the more impressive your builds can be. Like I said at the beginning of this, I recommend it.
Yeah, it has that space. Some of the things for actual coding, like within the game itself. But then another cool feature of this game is the blueprints, which I haven't sort of dived into too deeply beyond the tutorial, where it had a blueprint previously loaded into it. I haven't figured out how to save blueprints yet. But you can build a ship, build a spaceship, but you can build a digger, and then you can copy like all the blocks for it and just save it, and then jump into a different world, and then you can put those blueprints into like a projector, and then get an auto builder to just like build what you've made.
The auto builder thing is something we've got in our game. It's not in
Yeah,
every game. It's not vanilla, but you can craft from that building block.
yeah.
It's a good game. So, for example, in previous games with some friends of mine, is I've had this really like my first ship
Mm.
went really quite well, and I've upgraded it since then, and I've got different blueprints of it. So the Mark One, the Mark Two. So right now it's like quite an impressive build that does a lot of mining into space asteroids. But yeah, it started off as a single cockpit with some very slapdash engine building and a
Mm.
single drill.
Yeah, yeah. No, I tried to make, because remote controls are part of this as well. You can make drones, and remote control them from a further location. And I tried to make, in my single player game, I tried to make a remote control mining drill, and I didn't put strong enough reverse thrusters on it. Well,
You
yeah.
crashed
So
into a building, the
no,
planet. Didn't you?
no. I started digging. I had a really strong up thruster, and I had forwards and backwards thrusters, but I only had small ones. So when it started to lean forwards, it it couldn't like lift itself anymore, and I got it stuck down a hole, and it wouldn't reverse because it didn't have enough power. So I have saved and I've logged off, and next time I go on the game, which is probably going to be after we record this podcast, I'm going to have to try and dig it out or scrap the whole thing and rebuild it. I built it. I was like, this thing is cool. I need to figure out how to save the blueprint so I can transport it over to a different world. Let's give it a test run. Nope, bad idea. It
I
was.
mean, if you've saved it on the blueprint, we can put it in our multiplayer world and give it a test.
I haven't saved it on the blueprint.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's stuck down a hole, so I haven't figured that out yet.
Well, the thing is, you can still blueprint it down the hole.
Okay, cool. I was doing like the first like preliminary trials to like figure out if there's anything needs tweaking, before I did.
The answer to that question was yes.
It was when you lean forwards, which obviously when you usually dig downwards as well as forwards, but when you lean forwards, yeah, that's it. You're screwed.
Now you said this, do you think we should recreate the Futurama ship?
We could definitely make the Planetary Express ship in. It'd be a bit of a challenge. Like
Not really, because don't forget, it's not like Minecraft with the single blocks. It's got curved blocks and lots. Like the shapes are ridiculous. You can make. So don't think you have to build something massive to get the shape you want. So, for example, the Warthog is a perfect example. I've rebuilt the Warthog using a picture as a reference, and you can get very, very close. Like, not obviously picture perfect, but
yeah, you need that. The cockpit doesn't quite work for the Warthog. I don't think. I'm imagining.
you can have the flight seat. You only need a seat.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I mean, especially if you get a modded seat to look like a driver's seat instead of a. But like the wheels turn that opposite way that the Warthog wheels like do, and that was like nostalgic moment. I was like, oh, I could make a Warthog. I haven't seen tank tracks yet. Whether that's just something I've just not seen, but
no, that's not in the game. If it is, it's a mod, and if it is, I want it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, because I mean, you can get weapons that you can get like space weapons. I have tried, like the combat system isn't that easy to get used to yet, but they do have auto fire turrets, which you just build an auto fire turret and stick it on your thing. It'll shoot at what it wants to, but it's so much more accurate.
So you've got like the weapon system in that game is so you've got like you've got your hand pistols or your automatic rifles, which is they're okay against like ships, but you kind of need them for PvP because there's no AI in the sense there's no other physical beings, but there are ships and computers. So you go to a space station and it's like, well, this is an automated space station, so it will wire transfer you the money and instructions. I heard that they're going to be putting AI into it, like NPCs into it eventually.
I definitely feel like this is. I've said this to you before. I definitely feel like this is a social game. With Minecraft, you can find a village, and then you've got not people to play with, but like there's things to interact with. Yeah, they look like human-shaped creatures. So it feels like there's things going on in the world. You've just got to find it.
Just run to a village. Social activity.
But when you're playing this game, when you're playing Space Engineers,
you're in the void of space.
You find a signal, and you're like, oh, there's a thing over there. I'm going to go follow it, and then it's just like an unmanned space station that kind of looks like an oil rig. You get on board, and it's like, here's 10 different quests for you. It's like, oh, maybe the quests will send me to a person, and you get there. It's like just deliver this thing, and it just takes you to a different space station. And you're like, great. No people, nothing to talk to.
That is one of the downsides to it. Yeah. But like you said, it's a social game. So if you don't like that aspect, you can always join a public server because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Of a lot of different languages, of a lot of different areas of the world. So if you join a public game, it's very rare that they reset a server. So like a lot of servers in games, like reset after a certain amount of time so it doesn't get overloaded. But with the way that Space Engineers optimized, is like it's so big and open that the only time it's going to lag is when you initially load that area.
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm aware, it's a very lag-free situation if you join a large server base.
Yeah, I haven't done that
yet. It means you can have enemies and allies, and depending on your server.
I haven't done that yet because I've only been playing with you and like solo to try and learn the game. And when I'm confident with it, then maybe we could go on a bigger, multiplayer server. But I definitely feel this is a game with friends game. If you've got a hardcore game group friends, like this is something that if everybody enjoys it, you could get into as a group.
Yeah, well, I mean, the projects we've been building, just the two of us, have been pretty big, and it's just the two of us. If you've got like 4 or more friends playing this game at the same time, Jesus, you could craft, space stations in hours.
Yeah, I want to build.
Exactly, if you know what you're doing, but obviously,
I want to build a massive ship.
A lot of the ships inside it.
Yeah, a lot of the big ships. I mean, they do mostly look like like they're straight out of Halo. Just because of the shapes of the blocks. But yeah, we could make a planetary express ship and loop this podcast around in a nice, neat little circular package back to its original introduction.
The Futurama series, which I like all the time we've been talking, I've just been replaying episodes in my head.
Nice. Anyway, well, thank you everybody for listening to our sci-fi themed podcast. Maybe we'll just take a leaf out of Matt Groening's book, and we'll do one in the modern day, and then one in the past, and then we've covered every base.
Like I say, while we're playing, we'll listen to. Well, sorry, we'll watch. Was it Disenchanted?
Yeah,
Is that yeah? We'll
sure.
watch Disenchanted and then play Minecraft, and then we'll watch Futurama and play Space Engineers. Now I just need to think. What I don't know. Simpsons and GTA. There you go. That'll do.
GTA is not a crafting game. We need a modern day crafting game.
Oh, by the way, on Space Engineers, if anyone's interested, it is on Steam, and I was going to look up whether it's on what consoles it's on. But it's definitely on Steam, that's for sure.
Yeah, because that's how we're playing.
It is also on Xbox One. Anyone that's got an Xbox One. It's not a massively expensive game. I think it's about, on Steam, it is currently, as of recording, £15.49. To emphasize your social idea, it even says 4-pack for £45.99. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that's not bad actually. For that's £50. That means save you a little bit of money. You know,
it's fourth the price of 3, basically.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you everybody for listening, and we will catch you in the next podcast.
Hopefully, we'll see you all with some actual Bender voices. Bye, everyone.